So growing up, I had a wonderful, amazing childhood. Like I had oh my goodness, my childhood was absolutely bomb. Like mom, like I couldn't ask for better parents. Like I had an amazing childhood, and after my mom passed, it's just like everything. Well, after my mom was murdered, it's like everything changed. I like had to grow up so quick. Like it's just like I couldn't be like it was just like I had to be so mature so soon that I really didn't get a chance to really enjoy like being a kid. Like I'm in seventh grade, and while everybody is finding out who they like or having crushes on people or who they're really into, I'm having to go to court. Like I don't have time to do those things because I'm in court being pruned. I'm with my attorneys, like, and they're teaching me, like how to answer questions and what to do when I'm on the stand and all those things. And I'm prepping to be in front of my mother's murderer and convict him of the crime that he has committed. That was my journey. Like my journey was totally different from what everybody else was doing at the time. I had like my life was like bam, like it was for real. And just I remember always just wishing that things would be different. I remember just like asking myself, like, why did I have to go through this? Like, why is my mom not with me? Why is this so, like, why is this my life? And I remember like Christmas, I remember the first Christmas that we had without her, it was just so hard because it was just like, wow, like that was like reality set in because like we always celebrated holidays together. We were always together. And waking up that morning and we had so many gifts, like so many people did so many great things for us, but it was like not having her there in that moment. It was like that's when it really sunk into me. Like I don't have my mom no more. She's not. She's not here. She's like, come home to be with me. And it just like really sunk in. And I remember like that Christmas was like, it was such a great Christmas, but it was like the worst Christmas. And I remember like opening all the gifts that we were giving. I remember I wanted this coat that had it was this puffy jacket with fur on the hood. I wanted it so bad and I got it, but it was just like that's not what I wanted. I really wish that like my mom could have been a gift that day. And it was just so hard to open those gifts and be in that moment. I remember like we all opened our gifts and then we just went back to our room. Like no one opened them. Like we had to move. We were no longer in our house anymore. We had to move to this other place. My grandmother and aunt, they stepped up and started taking care of us, and like people would just like come and see us. And I remember like being so reserved. Like at school I was like this whole nother person. Like at school I was so bubbly and I was so outgoing, but at home I was totally different from what everybody had seen. Like I was just so to myself and so reserved. And it just that was a lot. Like that situation, I just always wanted to be this person. I just never knew how I would get here. So being without her has been like the hardest thing. And then being without my dad and like having those lessons that he could teach me about men and all those things, it was just like it was a lot of things that I had to learn on my own. It was a lot of things that I had to learn by going through certain situations. And I just wish that I just had her. I just wish that I just had her so that I learned from that to not judge people based off what they have been through. Like it's a lot of hurting people in the world, man. There's so many hurting people that are quiet. Like I was one of those hurting people, but you would have never know. Like to this day, a lot of people didn't know that about me. Did not know what I had been through until I had posted it on Facebook and shared just a little bit of my story, and people were like, "Oh my goodness, that's your story. That's you went through that." And it's like, yeah, that's my story. Like that's what I went through. So it taught me not to like don't judge people because you don't know what people truly are battling. You don't know what they're going through. And it was just like a lot of days, like I remember just like wishing, like why did my mom have to be taken from me? Like why did this happen to me? What did I do? And I remember just being so upset. Um I remember when Mama, when that song came out, and when we're doing Mother's Day, I would just absolutely hate all that stuff. Like I couldn't stand any of it because I didn't have mine. Like I didn't have my mom. So I didn't care about none of those things. And going through that and going through that, it was a process. Like it was a lot, and it was a lot that I withheld. Like it was a lot of things that people didn't know. It was a lot of times that I just like cry myself to sleep, just wishing that she was with me. It was I remember just like all my moments like of just like prom and graduating from junior high and graduating from high school, and I just wanted her to be there, and she just wasn't. That was like that was the empty seat that I wanted to be filled more than anything. More than anything, that was the one that I wanted to be there for all my moments. That was the person that if anyone could gift me with her, that would have been absolutely amazing. So I just like went, through all of that. I remember just like I had no like knowing in my heart that I had to be better. Like I had to be like just so much better, and I'm grateful for being so reserved and so, I had to like kind of shelter myself because it kept me out a lot of things that I really didn't have to be exposed to. It kept, I kind of like protecting myself, like, no, you don't go to this party, like you don't have to be there at the, you don't have to do those things. And I just wanted her, like I just wanted my mom. Like I just wanted her to be present for all those moments. And then when those feelings would come up of missing her, I would try to like push him down. Like, nah, push him down. Like, don't deal with that right now. You don't have to deal with that right now. And I would just push all my feelings down. I just didn't know what to feel. Like I just didn't know how to feel. I was a kid. Like I'm a child experiencing my mother's death. I was so in awe. Like it was I was so in shock that I instead of for a long time I didn't say that she was murdered. I would just say my mom passed away. I mean, I was grown. Like my mom, oh, she passed away, and people were like, how did she pass away? And I had never associate her with the word murder. Like I never wanted her to be associated with that word. So I would always say, "Oh, she passed away." And as I got older, I started to realize like pass away is like something that you're prepared for. That's kind of like you're prepared for to experience that. But when someone's murdered, that's like something that sends you into a whole nother. It just changes your life, and um so people with homicides and what they experience, people think that okay, well they caught the murderer and they caught the person who did it, but we still suffer. Like it still hurt there because it's someone choosing to take someone else's life, and that's something that will always have a why with it. That will be a question that I was just like, why did you have to do that? Like why did you make that choice? Why did you do that to my mom? Like why? And I'm always left with that. I'm always left with that question, and why did it happen? And I just didn't. As a child, you just don't understand those things. And that as us being like we were her three girls, and with us being her three girls, it was just so hard for people to just like. I remember like times where people couldn't even look at us without crying, or if they were about to experience any emotional outburst, they would like leave, so we wouldn't see that. Or they would like make sure that they didn't bring up our mom or talk about her to make us upset and make us feel any type of way. And I understand it, but I wish that somebody would have. I wish somebody would have been strong in that moment with me, or been weak in that moment with me, to just cry with me, because I needed that. I needed to know how to feel. I didn't know how to feel. I was so numb to the experience of that. Like I didn't know. My mind never fathomed that I would lose my mom. And not only lose my mom, that I would witness it. Like I never would have thought that. So to see her, so I just didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to place my feelings, or what to feel. I didn't know if I should feel sad. I didn't know if I should be angry. I didn't know. I was so confused about where this feeling that I have about missing my mom should be placed. I didn't know. So for a long time, like I just I would be two different people. Like at school, I was like this girl everybody knew. I was so I had this bubbly personality. I was so happy and I was so this, but at home, I was so reserved into myself and in my room, and I would like go down and like I would go into the den area and I would dance. That was one of my things that I would do to escape, but I just like stay to myself. I like just say to myself, I really didn't. I would go to parties every now and then, um, but I would just like kind of stay to myself. So, um, as I got older, it's been 21 years since my mom passed, and I mean, see, I said there you go with the password. Since my mom's been murdered, it's been 20 something years since my mom been murdered, and I still like I didn't know when her birthday came up. I didn't like I would acknowledge it, but I didn't do anything for it. Um, I just placed her like away. I just was like, my mind placed her like, okay, I just can't get to my mom. She's away. She's living in upstate. I just can't get to her, and that just made it easy for me to just go through life and not just face the reality of like what my situation really was. And I would just say like, my mom, she's just in another state. Like in my mind, that's what I placed there. She lives somewhere else, and I just can't get to her. And after that, just like our whole world changed. Everything became so different. We ended up like no longer staying in our home anymore. We lived with our grandma, my aunt. My dad started coming in and out until it started to become not at all. And it was just a lot of things that we had to challenge and push through. And I'm just so grateful to God that He was with me through all of that. And I knew God. I've always known God. I just didn't have a relationship with Him, but I knew who He was. And I like I said, I just remember wanting to be better than what I was in. And I was like, God, I know you're going to work all this out. I know you're going to do something so absolutely amazing. I'm just going to wait for it. I know that you're going to take my story and you're going to just make it so powerful. I just don't know how. Like, how are you going to take this? And I remember just like being so mad at God. Like, why did you do this to me? Why did you take my mom? Like, why did this happen to me? Like, why couldn't you have stopped this? And I was mad at myself. I was like, why didn't I just tell my mom? Because why did I just tell my mom not to, like, no, we don't have to leave and go to the store. We don't have to do this. I know grandma's going to take us. I know Grandma Sam, she's going to take us in the morning to go get breakfast. So we don't have to leave and go get breakfast. Like, we don't have to do that. And I blamed her. Like, Mom, why do you just, like, not go out? Like, I just blamed and blamed and blamed and blamed and just blamed. I blamed everybody else but her murderer because I just my mind could not wrap around though, like, why would someone want to do that to someone else? Like, I'm 11. Why would someone want to take someone else's life? Like, was never raised on anything like that. I didn't know anything about things that people would do that to other people. I didn't know. I wasn't taught those things. I wasn't taught that people would hurt other people. I didn't know that was possible. So it shaped me in a way, but God used it all. And I'm so grateful for who I am and what I've been through. I still have moments where I miss her dearly. Like, I miss my mom so much. I just miss her calling my name. I miss her smile. I miss her laughter. I miss everything about her. And the hardest thing to watch is to watch my kids miss her, because I talk to them about her and I bring her up, and to watch them like cry about someone they never met breaks my heart, because it's like that love of like she's flowing in me and she's flowing in them, and they can feel that love, and it's just like to watch them cry about someone that they've never met her. Like, I wish that I had that moment, like, for my mom to be there when I married my husband, and for my mom to be there when I gave birth to my first and second child, and when I had my miscarriages, and just like that hand to just someone to hold my hand as I go through all those things. So I guess I would just remember saying to God, like, why me? Why me? Why me? And then I just got to the point where I just started saying, why not me? Why not use me? Like, why not? I'm perfect for this. Why not me? I stopped being the victim of those things that hurt me and just started saying, why not me? If God gave this to me, then I can get through anything. Like, why not me? And it gave me my power back. I remember like being in school, and I was like, oh my goodness. When I got in high school, I was a horrible student. In ninth grade, I was a horrible student. I was, oh my goodness, I was horrible. I did not do anything. I was just there. And my 10th grade year changed because I thought about my sisters and I was like, I have to be better for them. I was like, I don't want my example to be a bad example, which leads them to have a worse one. Like, I didn't want that for them. So I was like, I have to, okay, I got to get better. So I start doing my homework and having great grades. I changed my grades. I started to be attentive. I started to pay attention to those things, but it just clicked for me. It was like, I'm an example and I have to be better than that. I can't choose that way. I can't have that be my example to represent me, and then if my sisters choose that, like, I have to step up to the plate and be the leader. Like, I have to step up to the plate and do something different. And I did, and I changed my grades, and I um just started to be better. But I would still have that thing in my mind, like, God, how are you going to use this? Like, this is ugly. This is an ugly situation. How are you going to use all this? And all of it started to work itself out. Everything started to come together, especially when I got with my husband. Like, I'm so grateful for God for him. Especially when I got with my husband, because I had to face everything. Like, I had someone to hold me accountable, so I had to face everything that I had been through, and I had to, like, go in those areas that I didn't want to go in anymore. And I remember my husband was like, "You need to write a book. You got to write a book about your life. Like, you have to do this. You owe this to your mom. You owe this to yourself. Like, please write a book about your life." And I remember being like, "No, it's too much." And I remember, like, so many times where I would sit in my office and write into my journal the pages that would become my book, and I would cry. I'm talking about cry. I'm talking about cry. I would just lock myself. I would close myself up in my office, and I would just sit there, and I would cry so much. But it was something that I needed. So I needed that to revive my spirit. I needed it so badly. And I would just sit there and I would just cry. And I would just cry, and I would write and write, and I would cry about it and cry about it until I just got it all out. And yeah, God used it all. It's amazing how He can take it's amazing how God can take what we think is an ugly situation and make it so beautiful and turn it into something that's so magnificent. And I'm just a little, like, I am truly God's glory. Like, I'm truly a standing, like, representation of His glory, because if it was not for God, I don't know how I would be able to get through anything that I've gotten through so far. It's only by the grace of God that I'm here, and I'm able to tell my story, and I'm able to do it with a smile on my face and talk about the things that I've been through and the things that I've witnessed and the things that I've witnessed. It's beautiful that I can do those things now, because at one point I wasn't able to. At one point I didn't even want to face it. At one point I didn't want to take on my story and say, yeah, that's my story. The one that's really messy and got a whole bunch of, like, it's ugly. That's my story. That's mine. That belongs to me. It took me a while to get to that point. So I I just wanted to use my light as a way of showing, like, no matter what you go through, no matter what you've been through, there is light on the other side. You can overcome no matter what hard situation you've been through. You can overcome it. And instead of saying a why me and having a why me mentality and saying, God, why did you put this on me? Why am I going through this? Say, why not me? Because you're a great candidate for it. If he didn't think you can handle it, it wouldn't even be your story. So the fact that he has chosen you, instead of having a why me type of mentality, why not me? Why? How come he can't use me? How come he can't make this a beautiful? It's not him that's doing it. The enemy has come against me to stop me from whatever it is that God has predestined for me. And he thought that using my mom was going to be the way to get me to calm down. He was wrong, because God done showed up and showed out in my life. But it's those things of, I mean, just, I'm just so grateful. Like, I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for my grandmother for I'm grateful for my grandmother and my aunt for taking care of us. Like, they did the best that they could with what they had. I'm grateful for everyone who stepped in a time where we needed them, and a time that, and just being there for us and giving us what we needed at the time. I'm so grateful for that because I wouldn't be who I am. Like, I'm not who I am because of one person. I'm who I am because of a magnet, like a multitude of people. A multitude of people have created me to be who I am. So I'm so thankful for you guys being in my life and being that light to push me forward. And I mean, like, God has just taken this and taken my life and made it into something absolutely beautiful that I never would have thought could have ever happened. So I just my message to you is just like, no matter what you've been through, no matter what you're going through, don't have a why me mentality. Have a why not me mentality, and don't judge someone based off of what you see, because you don't know what someone has been through. You don't know their story. Take the time out to get to know someone and why they behave the way that they do, because it's a reason why. We don't just act crazy or act the way that we do for no reason. It's a reason why. It's a lot of suffering people out here. It's a lot of people that are suffering in silence. It's a lot of people that are going through things that I absolutely, like, we couldn't imagine. And I wanted to share my testimony and my story because I wanted people to see, like, you, that's my story. This is my story. This is what I've been through. It's the things that I'm, my journey. This, it belongs to me. That story that's messy and sounds crazy, and that's mine. I'm the person that name is on those pages. I'm the person that in a news article and they listed those three girls. I'm one of them. I'm one of those three girls that when they said that in a newspaper about a mother being killed in front of her three daughters, I'm one of those daughters. So hopefully me sharing my story will wake some people up to see things differently and see that we're not all the same, but we are the same. We all cry, we all struggle, we all go through things, but we're in this together. And I thank my team, I thank my crew, I thank my faith buddies, I thank the people that have been there with me. I'm so grateful for each and every last one of you because, like I said, I'm not made by myself. I'm made by from a multitude of people who have been behind me, pushing me and taking me to the next level. So